And welcome to Atlanta Motor Speedway here today. This is the third race overall in this series. Qualifying has been finished, so we will go up to the starting order. Have to go all the way back up to the top. So Dave Nall first, second, Austin Norris third, Kirby Wainscott fourth, Troy Thomas fifth, Jeffrey Goodpaster sixth, Davis Shively seventh, Terry Fennell eighth, Andrew Teth ninth, Truth Hoke 10th, Frank Chavez 11th, Barry Nelson 12th, Timothy Gisbron 13th, Blake Davis 14th, Alan Carter 15th, Mike Fudge 16th, Danny Jackson 17th, Stephen Blevins 18th, Aaron Marcus 19th, Will B. Steve Castle 20th, Trevor Fettig 21st, Steve Vest 22nd, JB Harrison 23rd, Jack Kelly 24th, Britt A. Bray. The Xfinity cars here today, I will give them all a paint refresh because I know that their paints are not completely set on this track correctly. Just waiting for, I think, two more people to grid. And then we will be able to do a paint refresh. And evidently, Brett is probably RC. So paint refresh now. So if they have a new paint scheme, it will pop in. I need to find the points here. League standings. The Next Gen Truck Series, Xfinity Series, Superspeedway. So Andrew Teft leads the points. Austin Norris is second. Monac third. Jackson fourth. Hoke fifth. Still really tight right now overall. And again, Teft and Norris both have a win so far. Last week they were at Talladega. As this is a really weird camera angle here. So let me see if I can get a color correction that looks a little bit better. Evidently, there is something up with the track overall, though, because it is very, very bright. I don't want that huge shift. I don't know why I did that. Let me set that to 0 here. See if I can get this a little bit better. I actually need to turn off this filter. Just completely delete it. Remove. Get off. But I'll get this fixed here because that is definitely not what we need it to look like as the pace car is getting ready to pull off here. And the starter will have the flag in his hand. You see it pulls off there now. And the green flag is back in the air. We are back underway here. We'll see Dave Nall. He will hop out to the lead. Wayne Scott will be below him. So he'll get a shove. As the 21 is all alone out there. Has absolutely no help at all. We got somebody almost around. That looks like that's Teft in the back. Stay green. I think Teft may have gotten a bump from somebody. That's one thing I can think of that would send him that sideways. That is not normal to see there at all. I'm having a encoder issue here, so let me get that fixed very quickly. Should not be doing that. Variable bit rate, maximum bit rate, put it to 8,000 on that one. See if it will kick something down there. Wayne Scott will get the lead here very quickly. He hops right down to the bottom instead. Doesn't want to be up there any more than what he already is. I wonder if it's that filter that I've got. See if I turn that off and if it does anything. I do not know why that encoder is giving me an issue here. Let me troubleshoot that. 64. Oh, we got the 50 almost around. We'll go down to the inside, and they're still wrecking here. That will bring out the caution finally. Troy Thomas looks like he got put in the wall there. He is smoking down the backstretch. So we'll go back to see the 50. The 50 got turned down below as I was fixing my encoder settings. For some reason, it was dying over here. So Terry and Truth just, go for the same spot. He actually avoids most of that. And oh my gosh. Okay, I did not see that from behind.
Yeah, just nowhere to go there.
Yeah, he just got absolutely ran over. I think that was the 14 that hit him. I think it was the 14. No, it might be a 41. It was a 14 of Danny Jackson. Right back up in his path. And he gets actually, gosh, Arca break weekly. So 7-11 that came up in between Tim. Yes, and Brandon will be joining me. He was having some issues early on. Looks like we got that sorted out now. We had an encoder issue, then we had something else going on. I don't know what in the world's been going on here.
Technology, man. That's what's going on.
Yeah, it's not too fun. Looks like that's what it is. Let me turn my stream quality to, oh, it's 1440p. Yeah, that makes sense why it's kind of dying over here. And let's turn that to 30. Now I'll leave it at 60. That's evidently what my encoder was not liking. But I don't think we'll see. We'll see some people come down. Teft, Poke, Terry. So it's just a even split overall. I don't think there's too many people though.
Yeah, I think a lot of it's just going to be damage repair for these drivers that was involved in that accident there around lap 5. So, yeah, it's just going to be, I would think, a lot of repairs. Bryce, I think now it's kind of a reset. I was watching in practice. I seen a lot of loose race cars, I should say, out of the exit of 4 coming through the tri-oval. So something maybe we'll want to keep an eye on. But I think just kind of repairs for now and restack them, rack them, and let them go again.
Yeah, I would definitely think this is, in the course, it's damaged, but early on, just get your damage fixed. Now, if it's late in the race, then it's kind of like, do we want to get the damage fixed or not? And what do we do on that? But I think early on, these guys can afford to kind of go back in the pack. But I don't know. I wouldn't be too content being back there just because it's kind of weird. You either want to be up front at super speedways or you want to be in the back. You do not want to be in the middle because if a wreck happens, well, you have absolutely nowhere to go. It's literally right in your lap at that point. You're just praying that you are somehow able to avoid it, and it's not a fun thing to deal with for sure. I've had to deal with that a lot, and it is not fun.
Yeah, I call from anywhere from about 8th to 10th to 15th to 20th, kind of the danger zone, right? I agree. You definitely want to be up front or in the back. Now, for the guys that do have a lot of damage, the back's probably going to be the best place, right? I mean, we've only completed 7 laps of the 130 tonight, so I think right now, if I was involved in that early caution, towards the back is where I want to be, just to kind of save face and make some time and make repairs.
Yeah, I would just get the damage fixed because especially at super speedways, you're gonna see any damage. It'll be amplified by like 10 times because drag or it's gonna rub a tire and you're gonna lose that tire. And especially at Atlanta, Echo Park, Atlanta, it's the same thing. But this track is kind of weird that it actually does chew up tires and it doesn't drive like a full super speedway. It still drives like a little bit of a normal oval. The tires do become a little bit of a factor as pace car does pull in here. Wayne Scott and Goodpasture will lead them back to green as the green flag does fly. So these guys do take that again on lap 9 of 130.
Yeah, Wayne Scott, Goodpasture Norris, all going to get a really good restart off of that jump there. as Wayne Scott's going to lead them through 1 and 2 down the back straightaway.
Down the back straightaway. They're pretty content with riding how they are. Nobody's, I mean, they're still coming up to speed, but oh, I just hit pause on that. Um, most of them you'll see kind of move up to the middle line. Looks like most of them are on the bottom. However, we got the 11s trying to work the top. He's trying to find a way in somewhat. He's kind of fading. He wants to go down there, but
Yeah, he tried to squeeze in front of the 85 there, just about made himself a home. Uh, Kind of a tight fit, but otherwise, the 85 of Shively was able to maintain position.
you see good passer looking to the outside. Excuse me. Oh, good lord. Of Wayne Scott. Looks like he's not going to get good enough of a run, though. But however, the 11 is going to come to his bumper here, see if the 21 can get a shove from the 196. I don't think he is. Nelson had the rear end kick out from him, and he's still kind of driving it off the edge there. He is all over the track trying to save that truck or not truck, that car and get it up under him. Wayne Scott.
Yeah, again, Bryce, one of the things that I paid attention to during the practice session was how loose those cars was coming through the tri-oval, and that was quite a bit of a big save right there that he was able to hold on to that race car. But good pasture still putting around the outside right there. Does have a little bit of help, or at least slightly more formed on that outside line as he'll lead this lap here.
You see it kind of from the bumper cam of Good Pastor. He has gone down to the bottom. He's left that 7 up there all by himself. He's got the 11 to help him, but I think he's going to need a little bit more help to get that working. When you have 3 cars, good lord, excuse me. Fairly working along is not a good idea, but when you're at a drafting track, you want 3 vehicles, you not want 2. You want that 3rd car in line to give an arrow shove to the 2nd car, and that 2nd car will then kind of give it to the one in front, but they're really spaced out. Nobody's really drafting too tight with each other, so I think they're just content uh with riding where they are right now at the moment.
Yeah, I don't disagree. The third car is ultimately the kind of the car, much like you said, Bryce, that controls what the run does, right, in terms of the draft. And so, as you see, looks like one of the teammate cars has jumped to the bottom there. But yeah, the third place car, at least the third in line, is going to be able to control most of what happens with the draft. And so, right now, I think these guys, I'm with you, are pretty content. Again, ill handling race cars. I've seen a lot of that, and that's something that I think tire wear you spoke on, I think, is also going to come and play a factor throughout this race. So it's going to be a lot of fun to watch what happens, as we do have Good Pastor taking back over the front spot.
But these guys are just going to pretty much swap it up front here as the 6 and the 7. Norris is going to try to go back down to the bottom. Davis, however, is the second biggest mover. JB Harrison, he is up 16 positions. He is currently riding in 6th, so he started 22nd. Also, one thing that I noticed on, I don't know if I had just not seen it, but SDK has updated it to where I can actually see who gets black flags. I don't know what for, but I saw that in the pit. Somebody had a meatball, so that was either going to end their night and had to pop their fast repair really early on, because if they didn't, that was going to be heck for them. As there goes Gisbrin around, and oh, there we go. He gets killed by Nelson. Oh, and looks like it's net code there, and he almost gets hit again. So looks like 3 cars get damaged. The Ford could not get stopped in time. That will bring out the second caution here tonight. Let me see what happened here. I saw the 92 go around. And
Well, it looks like maybe a little bit of a push or loose back in, kind of washed up the racetrack into truth there.
looks like a little bit of contact, and then that sent him up into the wall, got into truth, and he got tagged by Teft, and then that Nelson had nowhere to go. This car right there got super lucky, and then that Mustang just could not stop in time. I'm not sure who that is. That was the 51. Blevin just could not get stopped in time. But now we've got people coming down pit road. I'm not too surprised by that. I would have thought that, or I would have thought that people are going to do this to stay on schedule. Pit cycle, same thing, close enough. But you'll see that at super speedways too. Is early on, with me at least, early on in the race, you think, oh, it's so early, but the fuel is such a big difference at this track. You don't want to be caught off cycle because if you're caught off cycle, well, then you go and pit and then nobody else is with you. That's not like a normal oval. You have to have the draft because it's such a big factor. It means so much here.
Yeah, and I think you're going to want at least what would you think, Bryce? Maybe 3 or 4 cars to go with you if you are off cycle, just to be able to make halfway decent time. I would think 3 or 4 would be as quick as maybe 5 or 6. So at least in terms of being able to keep them in line, create a decent draft to make some lap time. So yeah, I think you got to stay on cycle for sure.
Yeah, I would definitely, I would definitely want some of them to come down pit road as my game sound. Looked at that on here. Let me re-add this actually. What that is. Hopefully that's picking that up. We'll have to see. Eventually, let me go on my stream and see if it is picking up my audio there. But you want at least 3. 3 is the minimum that I would take. I would not take anything less than that. That's just too. Anything less than that is just not a good idea to have.
So the lights will be out on the iRacing pace car this time by Bryce. That means we're going to get this race back underway green. Norris currently out front. 15 laps of the 130 here at Echo Park Speedway. Good pastor outside of him. Pretty solid run out of these two so far, at least out of the 6 car.
Yeah, these. Oops, sorry, I'm trying to get one of my audios. There it is. That'll work. It's been a pretty good run for them. Not bad overall. Again, it's so early on in the race. I kind of look at this and be like, okay, yeah, I mean, you've done a good job, but I'm not gonna say anything too bold quite just yet. So we'll see
Winners
how it pans
determined at
out.
the checkered flag.
Yeah, we'll see how it pans out for him here at the end. Put that on audio track 1. Here we go. Got my game sound, so I just had to turn around my desktop audio. That was weird. Looks like all my audio just decided to reset on its own for some odd reason there, so I've got that fixed. Pace car will pull in here, lap 18 of 130. And the green flag is back in the air. We are back underway. As looks like Blevins does have a black flag that he will have to serve.
Good pastor is going to give a nice little shove to Davis. They're going to be able to control the outside. The outside line here is a little bit more formed for him, Bryce. I think this is where the momentum is going to generate, at least for those 3 cars on the outside.
Yeah, it looks like the 11, the 6, and the 1. The 6 is thinking about it. He wanted to kind of go down there and side draft just a little bit, but I think he thought better of it. He was like, I don't really know if I want to do this. That doesn't seem like such a good idea. So he kind of thought different, which I think is a good idea for him. But he will stay up in that high line. So far, we've just seen everybody be pretty even with each other. They're not really being too aggressive, trying to make a lot of moves. That's what I'd expect early on. Like Teft is trying to work his way back up here. Blevins serving his black flag. Might be a restart violation if I had to guess. That's the only thing I could think of it being. It doesn't make sense for it to be anything else besides that, as the 1 is now blinking in and out, so that's not going to be fun to deal with if you're the driver that's tailing him. That's always one of the most nerve-wracking things to deal with, is seeing somebody blink in front of you.
Yeah, that's a iRacer's nightmare, right? is when you're in the draft and you're following someone that does have a little bit of blinking issue, but nonetheless, this battle up front still rages on. This is going to be Norris, Davis, Goodpaster, and Harrison, all the front 4 cars currently.
Yeah, I'll bring up a score about blinking later, but these guys are getting pretty racy with each other. The 90, Harrison, looks like he's trying to maybe side draft a little bit. He thought about going up and trying to grab that quarter panel, but I think he thought against it there at the very last second, but he wanted to do it. That 6 is giving the 11 a pretty good shove down the front stretch. He's not actually shoving him. He's just giving an arrow shove more than anything else. You can You can shove if you're gutsy enough. You can do it in the corners too, even though it's not recommended at all because the rear ends get so light. But kind of to blink, I was running in a league, is actually meant for people in college, and oh, never mind. As
Oh,
soon
big
as I
wreck
say
right in the
that,
front. Wow.
oh Lord, here they go. This is a good portion of the field.
I think, Bryce, I'm pretty certain we could label this as the big one here at Echo Park Speedway for sure.
So it starts with the 7 of Austin Norris. Oh, hold on. Actually, no, it doesn't. It starts with the 11 of Davis. Davis, I think he gets a bump here.
Maybe a bump draft going wrong, just kind of upset the race car, shot him down into the 7 of Norris, maybe.
Yep, that's exactly what it was. He just kind of got swiped in the rear end, and then it was just on from there. And there's a lot of people that got involved. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I see at least 8 cars, 3 with a meatball. So that'll end their night unless they have a fast repair here. Alan Carter comes down pit road immediately. That might be because of the front end damage. That could maybe be causing that car to overheat, possibly. Not completely sure, though. Just have to find out.
I would say the two biggest winners out of that crash there, Bryce, is probably going to be Harrison and Goodpasture. Harrison has since made up 21 spots on the racetrack. You touched on it earlier. He was the biggest mover, still currently is the biggest mover, starting in the 22nd position, has now worked his way to the front. For these two cars to be able to clear, as well as Marcus, to be able to clear, the calamity that was in front of them there, that's that's some luck on the side there, I guess, for drafting tracks nonetheless.
Yeah, that's one thing with tracks like this that drives me nuts is you can drive all that you want and think that it's in your hands, and then you get caught up in somebody else's stuff, and it's like it can happen with 2 to go. You're like, oh, I drove 128 laps, and then I have nothing to show for it. But you definitely can kind of work your way through, as we've seen Harrison be able to do that. A lot of people will be sitting in pit road here because that took out a lot of good cars for sure. So gotta see how this damage affects them. You only have one that still has required repairs, and everybody else is still in the race. Goodpasture has yet to pit. You got 1, 2, 3 black flags right now that should get sorted out here. That's for Putin again, most likely, if I had to guess.
So this will, in fact, turn the race lead over to what's going to be, I believe, the 41 of Marcus. Shively's going to line up on the outside of him. Wayne Scott, he's been running around the front pretty much all night long. He's going to be lining up on the outside of what shows to be Thomas in the 3 cars. So that's going to be the front 4. As it looks like to me, Bryce, the lights is out on the iRacing pace car, so I believe we're going to be going back green this time.
Yeah, you'll see a lot of these guys that are coming off pit road trying to catch the pace car. Hopefully they don't run into each other. I saw that happen before. They're trying to catch it, pushing as hard as you can, and then you just accidentally just plow into the car in front of you. But lights have gone off, and it is 26 laps of 130 done so far. So these guys will need to kind of settle in and maybe run some laps here. I'm not sure what their fuel mileage will be. It's kind of a complete guess. It seems like I can become somewhat close, but I'm also completely wrong sometimes, so I'm not even going to try to guesstimate on it. But lights have gone off. Pace car is pulled in here. Starter will have the flag in his hand, and the green flag is back in the air. We are back underway.
Yeah, Marcus is going to get a beautiful jump there, at least on the inside, but the outside line is a little bit more formed. That's going to be led by Shively and Wayne Scott, but right now, the advantage is going to go to the 41 and the 3.
Yeah, 41. He's just going to stick on the bottom there. Going to have Troy behind him, and then the 50, Terry Fennell. As you see, the 85 of Shively will actually jump up to the top. They'll try to get a little bit of a run here to get to the bumper, or get to the quarter panel at least to Marcus, and it looks like he might be able to do that here. Not going to get too close side drafting the 92, kind of bouncing around. Probably trying to get some clean air or something like that. Just working it, trying to find something. See, Teft is back here. He's got some damage on that right front, so that's going to hurt him some. We got 3 black flags. Hope, Fedig, and I believe this is JB has a black for some reason. I'll have to see if he has to come down and serve those eventually or not.
Yeah, and that's going to be a heartbreak for, I believe JB is Harrison, is it not? So that's going to be a heartbreaker for him. Was the biggest mover in the race, but right now the battle rage is on up front. The 41 of Marcus and 85 of Shively is just, I think right now, Bryce, these guys are starting to, I think now we're going to see a little bit more of a calmer style race, right? For drafting, I think they're going to kind of settle in here. As you can see, they're kind of spaced evenly amongst the first, say, 1, 2, 3, 4 rows. So I think now we're going to see a little bit more patience come into play.
Yeah, I think patience is definitely going to happen now, unless you run A opens and nobody has the patience or a brain for that matter of fact. But
true.
Yeah, it's. I think that the standards of our racing has gone down over the years, but that's besides the point. But I think these guys will settle down, realize, hey, it's, you know, we've had what 3 cautions so far. There's really no need. It's so early in the race. I mean, you've got 100 laps left at Atlanta. I mean, something's going to happen that causes, you know, you to move up positions, you to move down positions. But one thing with these tracks in particular is it is so dependent on, you know, you kind of have this moral dilemma. It's, do you stay loyal to the car that's been shoving you, that you've been behind, or do you just say, ah, screw it, and somebody just blinks, and that's not good? But do you hop up? Like, you build trust in a race that you're known as somebody that can shove, somebody that can push, somebody that will go with you. You have to decide, do you want to build that trust, or do you want to be somebody who is out there making enemies at this track, which is one thing that, for me, I'm somebody who is trusted that I'll shove you and I'll stick with you. But some other guys, they will make a move if they see one. They don't care about anybody else around them.
Yeah, I think the old common rule to go with that, Bryce, is everyone's friends until the white flag flies, right? Once that white flag flies, the ultimate goal for each one of these drivers is going to be the first one to take the checkered flag. So, yeah, I've been in a teammate situation where, we've had opportunity to win, and I've pushed teammates to the wins. And so, yeah, it's just a matter of, I agree, you got to build trust with who you're racing around. But I think ultimately when the white flag flies, I don't know that there's really any friends amongst anybody. They all want to win.
Speaking of not making friends, Tef wants to go up in the middle by himself, and it looks like he's going to make that work. Timothy moved up a little bit. Tef did have a little bit of help. He had that 11 behind him, but it looks like he's sticking more middle than anything else. He kind of just shot up there as Timothy. You got to be careful. I thought he was about to get turned there. But you see this 41 and this 85 are just basically stuck side by side with each other. They have not moved one bit. These guys.
They have not, but the guy on the move, though, is Andrew Taft in that 98. And wow, what a shot through the gap he made there. I will say, though, that right foot damage you spoke on a little bit ago doesn't seem to be hindering his driving, or at least hindering the cars aerodynamically in that 98. He's been able to drive through the field there.
Oh, yeah. Well, the question, somebody, I don't know who that was, just smoked the wall behind, but the only question that I have is it damage that doesn't show when he's pushing, but shows when he's leading? Because that's going to be a big factor here. But it looks like most of it has been pulled out around the right front fender, so he may be lucky and get away with the damage that he has. We'll just have to see. I'm not completely sure. This 41 is kind of bobbing and weaving around. We'll have to see what he wants to do here. Tef will shove that 85 to the lead, so he's done a pretty good job.
He has. Now let's go. Let's talk about that trust level again, right? That you had talked about. Now, since the 98 has drove himself through the field, Does the 85 stay in the top lane to work with Teft and 11 with Davis, or does he, once he clear, drop to the bottom? And right now, he's not going to have that opportunity because the 41 is still battling back on the inside. Is Marcus? So quite a battle we have up front here.
Yeah, and the one thing that I'd really be worried about, I think Teft has probably figured it out, is if he gets up there, does he just drop like a rock, like with that damage? Because he may be staying back here with his 85 and saying, you know, I've pulled out of line once to see what the car would do, and it wouldn't drive like it needs to. But I think this 85, I think he's pretty content staying up in this middle lane. You actually do save a little bit of tire when you ride up a little bit higher and are not on the exact bottom. I felt that you actually run a little bit faster. Speaking of the 85, he gets turned into the wall, left a little bit of room open, and Tef took it. That brings out our 4th caution tonight.
Yeah, I believe Teft wasn't too much worried about that that damage on the right front. He's seen an opening going down into turn 1 on the outside of Shively there, and just ran out of racing room.
Don't know. I can't really put that on anybody. That's just
kind of a racing deal, Bryce, is the way I see it. Just Tef was looking to make a move on the outside. The 85 they just kind of ran out of racing room there. Maybe packing the air on the back of the 85, maybe made it a little bit loose kind of on the entry, maybe washed up, but I'm with you. It's kind of a racing deal.
Yeah, I can't really put that on anybody else. I'm very iffy on putting blame on people, especially with me being me showing off. For doing iRacing for 4 years, I've realized that these cars react completely differently than what people think that they actually do, and you can't always think that, oh, this person did it on purpose, because that they will netcode. They do a bunch of weird stuff. You can be 5 feet from somebody, and I mean, you can literally lay down between these two cars, like long ways, whichever you want to put that as, and they'll netcode each other. But that just looks like that was just 2 guys going for the same position, and it just didn't end up good at all. I mean, that's just racing deal. That just happens sometimes. Nothing you can do about that.
Absolutely nothing you can do. You're talking about some crazy things that iRacing does. My first truck appearance with Racers Elite here, I believe, was at Texas. And so I was running second. I was kind of saving fuel, kind of clutching the truck, got just barely even a bump under caution. Didn't realize what had happened. But apparently there was an iRacing glitch to the point to where I had a 4X and about 30 seconds of optional to fix on that truck, and never showed no damage. So it does crazy things sometimes, Bryce. I can tell you that for sure.
Yeah, it's a sim. It's not perfect, even though people think it should be. I mean, there's going to be a couple of instances where you're like, wait, this is. I mean, it's still a game at the end of the day, and people are like, oh no, it's not a game. Yes, it is. Long story short, it's coded as a game, but it's gonna have some stuff where you don't even know what happens. I know probably the worst glitch that I've seen in iRacing is a sound glitch. It was Texas. You'd go past the start-finish line, and it would sound like a car was driving out to the outside of you, which was really confusing, and it didn't make any sense at all. So I don't know what
that would have been
what that was. It was weird. Like you literally think a car was passing you, and you were under caution, and they had to get that fixed. Which iRacing they're pretty decent with their updates, not messing up stuff too badly.
Yeah, that would have been quite an annoying glitch to have had. But the lights is going to be out on the pace car this time, Bryce. That means we're going to get this race back on the green flag. And really, the only change we've had up front is since going to be the 98 and the 85 from that last caution. This is going to allow Thomas in a 3 car to move up alongside the 41 now.
Yeah, we'll see. So hits, and somebody just blew up. I just heard that. Hit wise 39. Everybody's 39. Fedig 28. So everybody's. Oh, Marcus, you are gutsy right now, bud. Lap 16 is when he came down pit road.
It's what the timing is showing me. He's going to be. He's not been on pit road since about lap 16. So is that going to give him about 20 lap older tires than the cars lined up around him? But he was able to make it work at least up until that caution. So kind of a gutsy call that I think, though, Bryce, to be honest with you.
Kind of you've been watching the truck race at the same time, and it looks like Matt Crafton just took out Majeski for no reason. I don't know what that is, but that was weird. You see Pace Car does pull in
Interesting.
here. Carter has a flag in his hand. Unlike Michael Waltrip or whoever it was that dropped the green flag at the All-Star race, he does not do that. And we go green, and Wayne Scott has found his way back up here.
He has. He's hung around the top 5, top 6, 7 cars about all night long. It seems like about every time that he another crash here.
Oh, there we go, the 7, and they're running into each other under green still. The 13 is stopped on the backstretch. Chavez, as looks like caution finally does come out. That was odd. That's just a bump gone wrong.
Yeah.
13 locks it down and just nowhere to go after that.
Yeah, that's twice tonight, Bryce, though, that we've seen that kind of a bump going wrong, right? And it's both of them's been on the backstretch. I think right now, one thing that I would be at least discussing if I was in at least the team channel is how aggressive do you get at least with the bump drafting, and it right now it showed that it's caused at least 2 cautions that we know of for sure.
Yeah, it's it's so hard because like you want to push and then you don't want to push at the same time, but you don't know how aggressive to be. It's just so hard. I mean, and it's not even hard hits either. Like it can be the smallest of hits, and then it spins you around. So, and there's some people too, especially with bump drafting, is some people can handle bump drafting very well. Others can't. It
Right.
depends on the driver. I've saw drivers that they do not want to be touched at all, and I'm somebody who loves to push. And it's not like I'm an aggressive pusher, but some guys they're just not used to getting pushed. So we'll have to see if, like you said, if they start talking about, hey, let's not shove each other and send each other spinning at all.
Yeah, I think a lot of that, Bryce, comes down to really just kind of again, earning that trust around who you're racing around, right? And these guys have raced with each other. This is what now the 3rd week, I believe, for this group of guys on this Friday night series, and so maybe there's still some learning, right? That's still taking place. It's a different car to a different track. It's rotating at least by the looks of the schedule, and so it's learn trying to earn that trust around who you're with, but it's changed from week to week, and so for me it's one of those deals to where you want to try to figure out who you can push and who you can't. And again, you're very much right when you say there's a lot of guys that doesn't know how to really take one of those big shoves. So me as a drafter, I try to ease into the bump as much as easy as possible, just so we ain't upsetting the race cars. But I think it's a trust thing. I think it's trying to figure out who you're racing around and who you can who can handle those types of bump drafts and who can't.
Yeah, it's just God, I gotta turn that off. So many guesses on like what drivers do because at the end of the day, at super speedways, you're going so quickly. The car is already light in the rear end because you're trying to have the least amount of drag as possible. You don't want a ton of downforce because you want speed. So it's just so hard. Like, and there's been some times, especially probably throughout this race, that guys have had a chance to bump draft and they lift out of the throttle because it's like, it's early on. There's just no point in doing it. And other guys are just like, oh, there's a gas pedal. Let's just smash it to the floor. And it just depends on who the driver is and who's giving them to. It's just so hard to find out.
It is. It really is. And it's just, again, it's one of those things that over time, these drivers will learn, racing around who they're racing around. But you're right. these cars are so light in the back end as the pace car is going to be coming off this time. It looks like, Bryce. So we'll get this race back under green flag condition.
Yeah, pace car does pull in here. One black flag needs to be served. Hopefully that might be cleared here already, as green flag is back in the air. We are back underway here. The 50 jumps out to a pretty good lead at the moment. Wayne Scott will fall in line below him. See Truth Hoke getting a pretty good run. You see that, like right there, there's a lift from, that was Good Pastor. Good Pastor, is that backwards?
Yes.
I was gonna say,
It's messed with me with me all night long. It's the numbers backwards on that car.
I was gonna say, I looked at it and I was like, that doesn't look correct, and it is backwards. So I don't even know what that would be. It kind of looks like a backwards 8 to a certain point, but you saw Good Pastor there lift a little bit. As a side note, that wreck looks like there was oil on the bottom of the track. That's why Matt Crafton got into Majeski. But I don't even know what I was talking about now, but Good Pastor lifted. I think he saw there was a big stack up there. I actually raced with some of these guys yesterday. That didn't go too well.
Yeah, you guys was at what, Sonoma?
Yeah, and I don't run league stuff, but it was Sonoma, so I was like, oh, that's good, because I've been learning road courses, and I had the wrong sock on, so it's kind of weird, but my foot actually fell asleep, so I couldn't feel the brake pedal anymore. So that was interesting. Ended up leaving like halfway through because I literally couldn't feel my foot anymore, but I ran at the back of Hoke in practice on accident. He was trying to give me a position, so that was kind of weird to see. But you see Terry and the 11 of Davis are going to battle for the lead here after he works that high line.
They have been, and there's one driver that just not some maybe 10, 15 laps or so ago was involved in a pretty nasty accident. Looks like he's been able to repair that race car, and that's going to be Andrew Tefton at 98.
I wonder if he kept his fast repair. One thing that drivers do have to keep in mind is, unless iRacing's added a setting for this, I know it automatically equips your fast repair, so those guys going down pit road are unchecking their fast repair for that small amount of damage. What in the world was that? Who was that?
Yeah, that was Truth. It looked like he tried to check up with the car in front of him to not get run over, and he just kind of went left through the tri-oval there. At least that's what it looked like to me.
Yeah, I didn't really see. I just saw a blue just kind of flash out of the corner of my eye. So I knew it was Hoke when I saw it, because he's the only guy that drives completely blue vehicles, and he just power moved on the outside. I don't know what in the world's going on there. They're checking up heavily.
Yeah, there was a yellow car that got loose, Bryce, right in about the center of, right there he is. You can see him there on the screen now. Just got loose in the center of 3 and 4 there, and was able to put it on the apron. A lot of guys started checking up.
That was Kelly. I didn't know if that's what caused it. I knew he got loose, but I didn't think that would cause that big of a checkup there. But evidently, it did something to him to make him panic and then check up like they did. So it's kind of odd to see, though. But they keep it green, as we are 51 laps of 130 in this race right now. The 11, I keep on thinking that 11, I saw that paint scheme somewhere before. I don't know why. Sour Patch Kids. Side note, if you like sour candy, that's kind of odd. I don't know why you like something that it's sour. But at 11, he's been fighting hard on this outside line. He's been up front. Good majority of this night. Terry looks like he might have just kind of scraped the apron there. Sent that car off the track just a tad. These guys just still race side by side with each other. Pretty spaced out. Good Pastor. A little bit loose on the rear end as he's able to pick it back out and save him there.
Yeah, it looked like to me that the 11 was going to attempt to try to side draft through there, and I think it maybe got Good Pastor a little bit tight through the tri-oval. I'm not 100% sure, but it's quite a big move, at least towards the outside wall, but able to keep it off there and keep the car clean. So good job by him.
Here looks like we've got kind of two groups: Chavez, Bess, Jackson, Kelly, Troy. These guys are 6 seconds behind, so I think they're going to need a caution to be able to get caught back up, because they don't have really any normal chance, unless all of them have Bill Elliott engines, to make it back up front. And look at that bobble right there from Davis. Don't know if the front just took off on him, but he definitely had to correct that car really quickly so he didn't absolutely eat the inside or outside wall there. He was headed for it.
He was, in fact, headed for the outside wall. You know, I just took a glance over to the timing tower that I have pulled up here, and again, most of these drivers, at least the top three, the last time they was on pit road was going to be lap 39. So right now they're logged about 16, what will be 17 laps on their tires. Maybe that tire wear is starting to play a little bit of a factor for these front runners up here, Bryce.
Yeah, and well, it's weird because Atlanta wears tires, but it doesn't wear it too much to the extent I think it's going to be overly dramatic. But what I'd be worried with them is they're leading this pack. They're not saving fuel, so they're going to be way off on fuel compared to these guys that pitted at lap 43. It may save 4 laps on the board, but it's probably more like 6 or 7 laps, maybe even 8, because they're pulling this whole pack with them. They're running flat out full throttle right now at the moment, trying to get as much out of the car as they can. Now, the only thing they can hope for is a quick caution to kind of have everybody else match up with them pit time, or really, yeah, pit time wise, pit lap. I can't speak. Pit time and the lap they pit, but right now it's not looking good for them. So it would be smart to kind of tuck in behind these guys, but I don't really think they have the option to do that, to be honest with you. It seems like a lot of them are racing pretty hard with each other to stay up front.
Yeah, and I think that's just the product of the amount of cautions we've had. Race car drivers want to race, and they get a few green flag laps in, and they're ready to go full bore because they want to be out there racing the car and not riding around under caution. So I think that's kind of what we're seeing is right now, at least the front four is setting a pretty good pace. Now, talking about saving fuel, the 98, the 90, which I know currently is a lap down, and the 7, all those guys, the 55, 41, all in that area, those guys right now are paying dividend with these front runners, because those guys are going to be the ones, as I think, is going to be able to save the most fuel, at least from where they're positioned on the racetrack.
It's kind of weird. You don't want to be the last car in line. I always hated that because you're having to run full throttle to even keep up. Now, if you're kind of the second car from last, you're pretty much cracking the throttle. You're maybe running 3/4 most of the time. Sometimes, you drop it to the floor just to keep up with them, and then you start to feather that throttle again. But like you said, they're probably saving a decent amount of fuel. They're probably pushing their fuel by 4 or 5 laps right now at the moment, and it's also really hard to calculate, if they do make a green flag pit stop, how much fuel you actually need, because iRacing estimates it basing off the fuel that you're burning, which is not correct, because you could be saving a lot of fuel, you could be leading, having to burn a lot of fuel. It just depends on where you are on the track.
As we can see, that second group is just kind of phased out. They're not really lined up decent enough to make any type of a run back, towards the front.
Yeah, they are really struggling right now to do anything. 50, the 11, the 6, the 10, all up here at the moment.
Yeah, the 55 has found himself back in contention as we're nearing what will be the halfway point, Bryce, as we've completed 61, now working on lap 62 of the 130. So we're nearing the halfway point. Now it seems like these drivers have kind of settled in just a little bit. Now we're going to get a little bit more into the latter part of the run, to where I like to say the cream always rises to the top. And so right now these drivers are going to start to position themselves for what will be potentially maybe a green flag stop.
I think they may have one more. I think what they're going to do is they're mainly going to probably run this out completely fuel-wise. I think that'd be the smart move from them, is to run it as long as they can. And then the question is, do you take 2 tires? Do you just take fuel? I think if you're getting a full tank, it can't hurt to go ahead and get 2. But that's just me. I'd prefer to get 4, but that's going to take a lot of extra time. if you're one of those guys up there. So we'll have to see what they do fuel-wise. It's always a guess, and strategy-wise. Sometimes 2 tires works better than 4. It just depends on who you are at the moment.
Yeah, I think also too, it also depends on where you are positioned in the racetrack, right? If you're, setting back there, third car inside is Andrew Teft, a 2 tire call might be the way to go. Me personally, I think if I was one of these front two running as hard as they're running right now, going to have to take a full tank of fuel, I would almost want to venture to say I'd want to put 4 tires on it. We've seen how loose these cars have been, at least through the tri-oval and through the centers of the corners. 4 tires, I think, sometimes better than 2.
Yeah, that'd really just be for maneuverability more than anything else. Is they have kind of funneled to the bottom, so that does make me wonder, are they thinking about pitting here really soon, or are they just making that move to the bottom just because they realize that they're off on fuel? These guys do a lot of moves that, at the end of the day, only the driver knows what they're doing, but it's like they're pretty even overall on who's where. As I thought they were going to sort that out pretty quickly, but they just kind of throw that out the window instead. They're going to go back
Yeah,
racing with each other.
Wayne Scott must have heard you when he said everybody was starting to funnel to the bottom, because he very quickly made a jump to the outside of Terry there. So, yeah, I don't disagree. I think these drivers, it's a game of chess, right? At 185, 190 mile an hour is essentially what it is, and you got to make very quick decisions, very abrupt decisions. And you're a racer yourself, much like much like I am, as we do see one of them, off the pace there. I believe that's going to be the 90.
I think that was JB Harrison shot down to the inside, so maybe he needed to pit here possibly. I don't know why he would have done that. That confuses me a little bit.
Well, we're going to be 3 wide here, Bryce.
Oh, there they go. I had a feeling that was going to happen. Oh my gosh, Terry is in the wall. He has destroyed that car. Wow.
Let's hope he's not in VR. That car's still flipping.
Yeah, he is still wrecking. Oh my gosh, he tows it immediately. I'm gonna say you might want to tow that. That's a pretty good decision to go ahead and tow it there. Let's look at the 50. There he is. So what happens between him?
Looked like to me it was just a 3 wide battle and just ran out of racing room with the 11.
Yeah, I don't think that's anything malicious there, but we'll watch him flip though, because this is hard hits for him. Look at this. He's stuck on top of the 10.
Yeah, can we get an onboard with the 10 car there by chance?
We'll rewind and we'll go on board with Wayne Scott, because Wayne Scott got just a face full of this pretty much. Literally could not see anything there. I think he actually got away with the least damage or some of the least damage from that. We'll actually go on board with Terry. I want to see what it looks like from his point of view while he was up in the air flipping, because this is going to be interesting to see.
This is just a nasty ride here.
At that point, you don't even know where you are.
I'll say, Bryce, that's probably one of the most violent crashes I've seen here at the virtual Echo Park Speedway in Atlanta.
Yeah, that was pretty vicious.
Ride that he took there.
I think the worst. I don't think that's actually what's the worst I've saw. I think that may be. I know I've absolutely smoked pit wall at Talladega to get spun off somebody's bumper, but that probably is the worst I've ever seen. That was not just one flip. He was flipping not sideways. He was flipping frontwards. So that car had some momentum. I think that was really where he bounced off the wall, and it was just trying to kind of catapult itself over and over and over again on itself. So it's hard hits for him, but people did come down pit road. Looks like that was 4 tires and fuel for most of these guys. Some of them are getting damage fixed. It's not surprising for them to be doing that. Let me see. What is the... We have... May be wrong on this. Yeah, they're still 75% fuel. So I think they have one more at least. I think it's just one more, not two more, just one. I think they'll probably pit at like lap 110, somewhere around there, possibly, for the time they need to pit. We'll just have to see what they do.
Yeah, then also too, I think one thing that's going to play a factor is we're going to have to see kind of how the rest of this race shakes out. Right, we're on our sixth caution. Um, I don't, I don't want to jinx anybody, but I don't think we're done with that just yet. As we're, the pay window's slowly starting to open as we've now since passed halfway. So yeah, right now these are the three guys that's kind of left without damage.
Yeah, and it's kind of it's honestly just survival of the fittest at some point. So you're just like, please, just as long as I don't get any damage, and I've got the actual aero stuff that I need. That seems like that's what you need at super speedways half the time. It's just don't get damaged. Just keep your car clean. Maybe if that means riding in the back, then that means riding in the back. There's nothing you can really do, past that point for these guys. And I think that's what some of these guys have done, even though we've saw Teft have some damage. So not like he's been freed from that at all. His lights have gone off on the pace car. They're going to be catching each other, though, here. So keep that in mind. We have 1, 2, 3. One of them got disqualified. That was Timothy. The black flag with the X's through it right now for him. So interesting. But Marcus and Teft will lead them back to green. 71 laps of 130 done at the moment. As the green flag is in the air, we are back underway.
Marcus is going to get a really nice jump. He's going to be followed out here with Teft in the 98.
Teft looks like he's very content with riding the bottom right now. He could have popped out and tried to make a pass on Marcus, but he definitely stayed higher than what he could have, or lower than what he could have. He could have went right around him, tried to race him, but that would have probably pulled both of them back with each other. But I think he decided, it's not really worth it at this point to do that, which is, I think, a good call on his end at least. I think that's what he should have done.
Yeah, I think right now, right, it's going to be the battle of the, kind of the patience game. I think now Bryce is we're in the latter part of this race. I don't know. Does these drivers get a fast repair? They do, right?
I think they do. Let me check real quick. They get one. So
One. So I would venture to say that most of them have probably burnt that fast repair. So any type of damage now is going to be, it's going to be amplified, right? And so I think patience is going to be a little bit of a virtue, at least for the next, I'm going to say probably 30 laps to get us to about that 100 mark, 105-ish area. And then maybe the heat turns up for the last 20, 25 laps.
Yeah, I think really what I see at super speedway is it's really the last 8 to really 5 laps. The 5, and with 5 to go, it's when people are like, oh crap, now we got to make a lot of moves here. But some guys, it really depends on who you're racing around too. Some guys like to be aggressive all throughout. Some guys like to kind of keep that aggression and just make them guess when they're going to make a move. So it honestly depends on the driver that's behind you and around you at the same time.
Is also very true right now. The only guy, was the only guy at one point on the outside. That was going to be the 38 of Kelly. Now he's going to have Norris lined up with him. So these two guys, as you can see, a little bit of a bobble, at least for the try. What look for the 38 in Kelly there.
So some guys, it's really coming off these corners. The truck likes to unload, and it doesn't act the same, and it doesn't act like they need it to. So we'll just have to, be curious to see. Oh my gosh, Majeski has probably the best damage that you could ever have. Its right fender is splayed out, so it's giving him downforce in the corner. But a lot of these guys, it's coming off the corner. So you're going from a pretty heavy load to pretty light. The car unloads as it straightens out, and that rear end tries to kind of lifts up off the ground. So we'll see guys get loose, and then then they'll chase it. They have the option to either lift or just keep their foot in it. It just depends on who they are. But I would not be surprised if we start seeing a lot more slippage coming off the X of these corners here as these tires start to wear out, or these guys start to get tight and kind of plow up into the car outside of them as they wear. Then you'll see flames come out of the pipes because they're having to start to crack the throttle. It just depends on how they save their tires and how aggressive they've been getting into the corner here.
Yeah, it doesn't look like to me that there's one driver that's absolutely comfortable behind the wheel right now. I think the most smoothest that I could see, at least from what I'm watching both on your screen and mine, is the 98 seems really smooth right now, or at least been able in terms of car control, right? It looks like there's a lot of drivers kind of weaving in and out, trying to, again, like you said, that unloading sensation. Coming out of that load, out of the corners, up into the tri-oval, the car kind of unloading and becoming really loose and free. So I think right now, by looking at the driver's comfortability, is not, at least not at the highest as it could be.
Yeah, and that's what they're just gonna have to deal with that pretty much. I mean, that's what it's gotten to. It's like you've got what you got right now. When this pit stop happens, maybe fuel, tires, who really knows? But you've just got to deal with what you have right now. You can't. I mean, now most people, if they race for a while, if you're loose, that you can go make the car tight. If you're tight, wait, what did I just say? Sorry, if you're tight, you can make the car loose. If you're loose, you can make it tight. But it's going to be really hard to do that at this track, especially because you don't have the option of driving it like you need to make it handle, like tire wear wise. So it's going to be interesting to see how these guys adjust with that. If they just start lifting, or if they start to take a wider arch, or if they just start to do something completely different that they weren't doing early on.
Yeah, right now the 38 in Kelly is kind of the Lone Ranger on the outside there. He was up around the 4th, 5th position and has since kind of lost some track position as most of the guys has went single file towards the bottom of the racetrack.
Yeah, he's the only guy out there, and he's making it work surprisingly, which I think is kind of more these guys are starting to stack up a little bit behind each other, and that's what's been able to, he's kind of able to pull himself forward just a tad, but he's making that work. I don't know how he's doing it, but he looks like he might have a little bit of help here. Troy sees it. He's like, let's actually go up there and let's help him for once. See what we can do.
And when you say that, so does Goodpaster. So now there's going to be what should be now 3 cars at least lined up on the outside. Maybe they'll get another one to jump out somewhere around the front, 2-3 cars here. But these 3 guys are going to be looking to make their way towards the front.
Yeah, I think Nelson was thinking about it back there in that 196 because he's got a little bit of front end damage. He wanted to do it, but I think he thought better of it. He's like, should I do it? Should I not do it? But as the 21 is getting a little bit tight here, you got to keep an eye on that. You not want to see him get tight and go up into the car of the outside of him.
Yeah, that's one of the things that you had mentioned, not but maybe 5 or 6 laps ago, was keep an eye on these cars getting tight, and that was a very big push up towards the the middle lane. There was the 21. So right now, the 2 front running outside cars, now the 21's moved out, so now they're going to have about 5 cars lined up on the outside here.
Yeah, so it looks like the 38 he stayed up there long enough, and I think they noticed, and they're like, let's just move up here now, see if we can get around this 41. Everybody else is on pretty much the same fuel strategy, 69, 70. Goodpaster maybe has a lap better tire or lap better fuel. It really doesn't matter too much from him, but he's doing pretty good so far. Running that high line. As soon as that high line, I thought they got formed up. They are unformed as the 6 is still going to try to make it work. So now if you're at this point, you are just trying to kind of just side draft, keep that car next to you close, slow him down. Going to pull that bottom lane with you as there goes the 36 and the 196 hard in the wall as we're going to stay green. That was late on the corner, so I don't know what happened with the 36. Maybe through the travel he just got loose. I'm not completely sure what happened with him.
that was a very good job by all those drivers there to keep those cars straight and keep this race green. There's going to be tons of uh-oh.
Let's see what happened there.
Number 21 kind of had a repeat of what happened to the 38 coming through the tribal the next time by, and I mean, he put the right side on that wall and hit it pretty hard. It looked like to me.
Yeah, these guys are getting racy here. Now that the 21, what he has to hope for is he hit it square. As long as you hit it square, you'll be fine. If you hit it with the wheel, then you're gonna have a lot of issues. Looks like
As we see.
Looks like he's okay right now.
Yeah, that was a pretty hard hit. But while that was going on, Andrew Teft in the 98 and then Thomas in a 3 hooked up on the outside and just drove around the 41. We do have a new leader in Andrew Teft out front.
Yeah, Teft gone to the lead. Looks like we got the 3 of Thomas behind Tim, trying to kind of give him a little bit of a shove to get him up there right now at the moment. .41 sticking with Troy there on the bottom too.
Yeah, I'm starting to think maybe the 41's starting to have a little bit of handling issues. It looked like the last couple of laps coming through the tri-oval, or at least the exit of the tri-oval to the entry of turn 1, was starting to get a little bit sketchy for him. Yeah, you can see right there. Maybe some handling issues for the 41 Marcus there, starting to come into play.
Yeah, it does look like he's starting to kind of wash up middle of the corner, so he's going to have to start cracking his throttle when he gets down into it just to have that car set down. That's the only thing I could think of with him. You see right there, he's definitely up, and he's almost into the side of the 6 here. The 6 had to just swing it wide so he didn't get absolutely destroyed, but he definitely is dealing with a little bit of issues right now at the moment.
Yeah, now that's going to leave the 6 out there all by his lonesome, much like the 38 was not but 5 laps ago, as these drivers have since decided to go single file. So let's go to put Teft out front, followed by Thomas, Marcus, Norris, and Chavez, the top 5.
What in the... Okay, sorry, I was just...
Goodpaster's going to go all the way to the end of that line right there. That's going to put him back towards the 8th, 9th position. So every bit of track position Goodpaster had, he's since now have lost it all.
Or I was just looking up Ghost Racing Network just on Google to see what popped up. We have an iRacing wiki page that somebody made, unless it's made automatically. I did not think anybody made that. That's kind of cool to see, but we'll have to see what these guys do. They've gone to the bottom now. I don't think they'd be coming down at lap 69. That'd be less than 30 laps.
Yeah, I think right now it might just be a patience game, right? All these drivers are single file. We're nearing the latter part of this race. We're completed lap 92, about to complete 93. So we're going to be nearing about 35 to go. I would say, I'm with you, Bryce. I would say that the final stop, or at least what should be the final stop, that pit window is going to slowly start to open, probably much within the next 5-10 laps.
Yeah.
To the finish here.
Yeah, I think that's what it's going to open soon. Do you pit on the very edge of your window, or do you pit kind of in it? And I think that one of the questions is too is how many people do you bring down pit road? If you don't bring anybody down with you, and then you're kind of screwed. So you have to get a posse with you if you're gonna pit early on. So I know these guys are talking to each other about that for sure.
Yeah, that's when you want to start putting a plan together, right? Start, you know, being on the radio, figuring out who's going to go with you when you want to go. I'm one of those, especially when it comes to this style of racing. I want to be on pit road as soon as the window opens, right? I want to go ahead and get down pit road, get those tires on, or at least, you know, the rights, 2 tire stop with some fuel, get me to the end. Go ahead and get it done, get it over with, and get ready to go back racing.
That this bottom lane's not too grouped up with each other. I'm not sure what they're doing right now. It's just a big question for me. It's like I try to get in the mind. I guess for some I've raced for so long. Like, I try to get in the mind of a driver if they're trying to give each other space so they don't hit each other. Or
And I think I'm with you. I do that too. I think right now, I think one of the issues that we're starting to see with kind of the spacing is some of the ill handling race cars that we have. I think the 41 is kind of in that spot of an ill handling race car. He was getting really pushy through the centers. Norris, it seems like he has a little bit better car. Yeah, I mean, so they're pushing pretty bad. You know, the third and fourth place car there. So
I'm not really surprised by that. Again, you kind of talked about it. It's the tires now. You're going to start to see it. You're going to start to see them kind of wash up the track, go straight up. You're going to be like, oh, here they go. So we're going to see some tire issues here. But I think this is also to get them as long as they can on their fuel. That's going to be a question for that. That 7, see, I don't know what the 7's doing, though. He keeps doing this. He's done it 3 or 4 times now. He pokes out, and then he ducks back in. Watch him go in the corner, and then he ducks right. No, he's not going to do it this time. Thought he was. There, he kind of did it. He kind of ducks back in behind that 41. And I know it's not temperature.
no, I think right now, I think he's just got a little bit better handling race car than what the 41 has. I think he's just generating such a run through the corners that he's just kind of poking out there to make sure that, you know, he doesn't run him over, etc. I think right now the 7 in Norris has a little bit better handling race car than the 41 does.
That's got to be the only thing at this point. This second group, we're not even going to worry about this group back there. They are 12 seconds behind at the moment. So, one question, or really one thing you're going to have to watch too, is when that 7's deciding to lift. I saw the flames come out of the pipes. When they pit, you have to be very cautious about getting down pit road. I saw guys absolutely smoke their brakes getting in. They'll smoke the tires. These are going to be old tires too. They're not going to want to stop. You're going to have a lot of brake distance that you're going to have to need for it to slow down in time. Try to do it too early, well, the car is just not going to stop. That's just what you're going to have to deal with. You're going to have to watch for
and
too fast entering.
Right.
Oh, there they go.
Oh, there it goes.
7 in the 41. We saw the 7 poke out a lot of the time. And it looks like it's actually not too bad of damage for either of them. Surprising. 7, we saw him poke out a lot recently. I just don't know why he was doing that, but I'm going to chase view here, see if that's what happened again. Yeah, he's poked out here again. He got a good run. Went through 1 and 2. It honestly looks like he may have just misjudged it. I mean, that's all I can think of.
Maybe trying to get down to grab a little bit of a side draft to see if he couldn't, you know, complete the pass through 3 and 4, maybe.
Yeah, that's all I can think of, because it didn't look like he was. He didn't go down there.
Austin Hill will be on the
loud. He didn't go down there to hook him. It just looked like he was trying to chase that quarter panel, and you chase that quarter panel so much strictly because it's such a huge factor of side draft. If you can just get a piece of it, I mean the smallest piece, that person's coming right back to you, and that's what it looks like he was trying to do right there. So he was just trying to grab a hold of it just a little bit, and it just didn't work out for him overall.
Right. I mean, it's a risk and reward type of scenario, right? I mean, you understand the risk when you try to get down there on that quarter panel and create that side draft, and the reward ultimately is to position yourself to at least have a chance to complete the pass. The bigger risk, though, when doing that is exactly what we saw happen right there. So kind of a risk reward, right? We're late in the race, and we're down to what's probably when we go back green going to be about 25 laps to go. So yeah, it's a risk reward, right? I mean, pay window's closer to open now than what it was when we started. So
Yeah, these
it's kind of one of them
guys.
things.
Yes, we have a lot of them sitting down here. This will be damage fixed. This, however, does bring a lot more people into the picture. That group that was hanging around there is, now back in it. They can actually have a chance to win it here.
They can now. The whole complexity of the way that the race was starting to shape out has now since changed, right? So um, we had two separate groups. Now they're all going to be racked and stacked and put back together again. So the whole race has changed.
They will have 25 laps left in this race here, as you see the damaged cars coming off pit road, trying to catch the pack here before they get the green flag. It'll be the 3 of Troy, the 98 of Teff, the 10 of Wayne Scott, and the 13th of Frank Chavez. And looks like everybody else is still catching him, so that's why it looks so weird line-wise.
Yeah, it looks like to me right now, I could be wrong when I say this, but I don't think I am. I think we're going to have 9 cars that's going to be on the lead lap, that's going to be in contention.
Yeah, see, Troy will lead them back to green. Teff on his outside as the green flag is back in the air. We are back underway here. And it is only really 8, like 6, I think, unless Steve can catch a. He caught a draft here, caught one from Truth, so he does have a chance here. Now, the question is, how do these lap cars play? Do they play nice? Do they pull somebody with them? What do they do now that they're up here? They can be a big factor here late in the race.
Yeah, I think right now the first car that's going to be laps down is actually 3 laps down. So they're going to need some cautions, to be able to get back on the lead lap. But then again, you're also going to have to be able to stay clean, right, when those cautions happen, because at least on the iRacing surface, how I remember it is if you're involved in that accident, you don't get that lucky dog. So you're going to have to try to stay clean, as the lap cars could play a major factor in the way that this race plays out, at least to the finish.
Yeah, that is true. Even if you aren't directly involved in the wreck, if you, let's say you nick the wall, you go through the grass, then you're faster. Your lucky dog is gone. You don't get it, which I think they need to fix, but that's just something that these guys are going to have to look for.
And right now, the top 3-4 cars has decided to single file this out. Can't really tell who's out there on the outside by himself. He's now since tucked in. I believe that was the 21, was it? Night was. So now these guys are going to go single files. We're nearing 23 to go here.
Everybody's gone to the bottom pretty much. So it's Teff to Wayne Scott. Wayne Scott had a car up on his roof or on his hood earlier, so he's he's found a way up here for sure. That's interesting. Very, very interesting to see. He kept his fast repair.
He's had a wild night. That's for sure. I mean, Wayne Scott has had a wild night.
Looking at Truth right now, I expect them to make a pretty big move, at least with probably 10 to 8 to go here in the race. Don't expect
Yeah, and I think Yeah, and it's going to be a matter of when that move is made, right? So, and then who decides to go with them? Right now we do have only the nine, I believe, 9 cars on the lead lap. So now you see Truth and a couple cars in the back has now since jumped out to the outside. So once that momentum starts to get built, who here on the lead lap decides to make that move? Do we see a late block? Do we see? I don't know. I don't know, Bryce. It's been a wild night. I think the finish is going to be as wild as what we've been able to watch all night long.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see Wayne Scott. He looked to the outside of Tef there for just a second. Now, I don't know. I really don't know because it's who moves with who goes with who. I think that it's always one of the hardest things is to be, you know, leading because on that last lap that someone's going to hang you out. They're going to try to make a move. So you just have to be ready to throw a block or do something like that. You've got to be aggressive making the move, and you got to be aggressive trying to block that move at the same time. But you don't want to be too aggressive to wreck each other.
I think that's going to be the one thing that decides this race. I think right now the safest place to be is going to be one of these top 3 cars. Now, if I'm in the seat of one of those cars, I want to be right there where Thomas is at. Thomas is going to be able to generate such a run, at least maybe with Chavez behind him. But I think right now Thomas is probably what I would call in the catbird seat, to really kind of steal this thing. A couple laps to go.
Have to see what Thomas does decide to do. Question is, can he get that 13 to get it close enough to his bumper? To the 21, and that's the 14 behind him, I believe. They're kind of hanging out right there at the moment. 18 laps to go. We'll go on board here. We'll do 3 random drivers when they get back to the start-finish line. We'll do 1 lap each, kind of seeing what it looks like from their point of view. I'll keep it, of course, the top 7. I won't go to some random car way back there, just so you can see, kind of listen to their throttle, how they're trying to not run into the back, how they're trying to keep the tires up under them, how they're trying to just get the car to turn all at once here. I'll actually start with Wayne Scott here. We'll go from his cockpit view.
Pretty smooth through the trioval there. Pretty smooth through turns 1 and 2.
There he goes. He lifts getting into this corner. Had a feeling he would because he was about to run over Teft. Front end's trying to track a little bit. I can hear the tires scraping just a tad. Then lifts getting in. We'll go to Troy now. Troy is basically flat out, it looks like, from his point of view. He's a little bit of crack the throttle there.
Yeah, a little bit of a lift for sure. Then right back to the throttle through 3 and 4. But he's just kind of letting that car kind of rotate out. He's not really trying to pinch it down.
What Chavez does. Chavez missed the entry there, so he had to lift a lot. He's trying to pedal it to keep it up under him. He is way loose. Yeah, he's definitely having to. That car's not handling too well. I can hear it with his throttle. He's having to play with it to where it's just not. The tires aren't up under him anymore, so he's all over it trying to keep it with him. It's 13 to go. It's Wayne Scott stuck behind Tef.
You see a couple cars starting to generate a little momentum back there. Truth's trying to make something happen. I believe the 21 just popped out outside of the Chavez there.
That
So
21
now
will
this
do.
kind of shakes everything up, I think, Bryce, right? Now the 21's made the move outside the 13. He's going to see if he can't generate something. Truth right there, just what, 2, 3, 4, 5 car lengths behind him. So
Yeah, the whole issue with him though is that he's got no help. He needs some help to be able to, make a move, but nobody's gone with him at this point. He's dealing with it by himself.
might have been one of those situations where he didn't feel like he was going to have a chance to win this race from the 5th position. And then again, it's also going to be another one of those risk reward type situations, right? Like he's not really trying to side draft. It doesn't seem too awfully much to keep that 13 pulled back to him. There's pretty good distance between those two cars.
See, the only person I could see moving out is I would look at Troy. Troy moved up. I think that would give him what he needs at the moment. Troy's not doing it yet, and he's got 10 laps, so we're going to see it within 2 laps here is when there's going to be a lot of changes. Guys will start making a lot of moves here. The Wayne Scott's kind of venturing up. I think that's more of him just being a little bit loose, though.
Help is on its way. Truth's been able to close that gap to the 21 by a couple of car lengths, it looks like. If the 21's able to maintain position here, he might be able to get some help. And again, that's another one of those lap car situations that could really ultimately determine how this race finishes.
Yeah, you can see the 21, he saw that lap car, and he's gone up high to try to catch the draft. Will 7 stay high enough to be out of the way? It looks like he will. But Truth is, he's not closing it too quickly, and I think he's got a little bit of front-end damage. It's kind of stopping that car from being as efficient as he needs it to be up in that high line.
So this to me does a couple of things, right? With the 21-13 running side by side, this is actually going to hurt the 13 in trying to generate any type of a move. With him being pinched kind of where he is, he really kind of needs to clear the 21 and maybe get up there in front of him, as he will do so right there. So
I don't know that the 21 he pulled out, he wasn't really kind of. Now, I didn't expect him to be, strong on his own by any means, but he wasn't going up there and getting runs going down the front stretch into the corner, anything like that. When I thought he really would, he was just kind of stuck there. It's like, well, what do you do now at that point? So he just kind of had to tuck back in, and then it's just odd to see.
it just wasn't able to generate any type of a run to really do anything. And maybe being out there on that outside line, maybe heated them tires up a little bit. So maybe he's trying to, tuck back in, cool those tires down, or try to cool them down. Looks like he's going to try to make another move here, Bryce.
The only issue is he's got to have somebody go with him here. I wonder if that 14 behind him will go. I don't think he has anything for it. He wants to make it at 13. Here comes that 14. Who's that? That's the 7-Eleven. It's not the 14. I was completely wrong on the car. 7-Eleven could give that 21 a shove here if he decides to make that move, but he's just not making it. These guys just pretty much stalled out overall.
So now the question becomes, with 5 laps to go, coming to 4 to go, when does Wayne Scott, Thomas, and Chavez make a move? And who's the first one to make it?
I think it might be Wayne Scott. It'll be Wayne Scott and then Thomas. I don't think that 13 can make a move because he's got no help. He has no run at all. I think we'll see him gang up, though, on Teft here. I don't think they're going to be content riding behind him. Let's see what they do here going into this corner. That 21's making a little bit of a move. There goes Troy.
Yep, there it is. So there's the move, right? So now the bed's kind of been made with the 3 and the 21 with those two guys. Now the 21's really going to have to kind of settle in here. And there goes Wayne Scott making a move on Teft.
Yeah, I had a feeling Wayne Scott would eventually do that. That 21 tried to get to the outside of the 3. He wanted to put it 3 wide, but however, that 13's been boxed in now. He can't go anywhere. He has no other option but to shove Teft as Wayne Scott gives a really good shove down the backstretch as he will get clear of Teft, and he goes right down to the bottom. 13, a little bit of a bobble there as Wayne Scott will go to the lead. Now it's just trying to manage both lanes here. Teft is going to get a run, and Thomas is going to get a run. He's going to have to kind of block both of them. Who has the run here? I'd be more worried about Teft because Teft has some help from behind from the 21.
Yeah. I think Teft is going to have to clear that 3 car if he potentially can. Was the move too soon? That's going to be one of the questions that we're going to watch as we're coming to the white flag here in the next set of corners.
Troy able to get to the outside of the 10. The 98 boxed in now. He has nowhere to go pretty much unless he wants to force it here. Wayne Scott going to be stuck to that white line. He does not want to let anybody to his inside. And Troy will fall back to 3rd here. Now does Teft move up in front of Troy? He's going to do it. He's got to be down the backstretch. He's got a pretty good run on Wayne Scott here. He's got to make it now if he's going to do it. As he's trying to look like he's get to that quarter panel. He actually lifts instead of trying to get around Wayne Scott. As they go into 3, they will come out of 4 here. Troy with one final run. Teft might make a final charge here. Coming out of 4 down to the line, it will be Wayne Scott, who had a car on top of him earlier, who will take home the win. Teft 2nd, Troy Thomas 3rd.
Wow. What a finish.
I thought Teft there was going to try to make a move, but he surprisingly didn't. I think he kind of he may have been okay with running that. I mean, he already has a win, but he definitely did lift going down the backstretch there.
If we get a chance to talk to him here, we'll at least ask him kind of the mindset. He had the opportunity to make a move, didn't take it, and ultimately Wayne Scott was going to be able to park it in victory lane tonight.
We'll watch Wayne Scott burn it down here. We got people hitting each other, just blowing each other's cars up pretty much. Well, the finishing order here now. Go to the very top, that's qualifying. We'll bring in the top 3 drivers. Start with Troy. I'll go ahead and snatch him from down here. Hey, Troy, this is Bryson Brandon in the booth. You got a copy, man?
Yeah, I got you, Bryson.
Man, so you fall a little bit short. You qualified 4th, come home 3rd. Now, what was going through your head those last 5 laps there? Because that seems to be when the action started to pick up there towards the end.
Well, I kept looking in the mirror and saw how the outside line, there's one car, I think it's a 21 going the outside, that made a run. I was like, man, just biding my time. And then when the laps dwindle down, I'll go up there, which we went up there, but then I don't know, it just fell apart there about a lap to go. But hey, overall, it was a good race.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like it was good. You know, so how do these cars handle? Because it seemed like you guys definitely had to deal with some tire issues there later in the run.
Oh, it was slick out. I mean, in the tri-oval, the rear end was loose. I mean, it was slick going in. You'd have to actually let off the gas in the corners a little bit going out. And I was actually letting off coming out of the corners too, just to keep it straight. But it was a handful, but fun.
Yeah, so, you know, I was going to ask him, what was I going to say? You know, this is the 3rd race of the season. So, you know, how does this set the tone for the rest of the season for you?
Oh man, I'm just glad to finish in the top 10 after last week's debacle. But top 5s, keep top 5s coming. That win will come eventually. So that's what we're aiming for.
All right, man. Well, before I let you go, is there anybody you want to thank? Any sponsors you want to shout out that may have been watching the stream here tonight?
I want to thank you guys for broadcasting, Andrew, for everything he does with the league, all the different leagues he puts on. So that's a handful himself. So thank you, Andrew. Our teammates tonight, the Misfit Chicken Coop Racing team tonight, Truth and Kirby and Andrew. So Aaron as well, and everybody watching. Jesse, hope you're watching too, bud. We miss you, bud.
All right, man. Well, I will let you go. Good job at coming home third tonight, man.
Thank you, Bryson.
That was Troy Thomas, the third place driver. We will bring in the second place driver, and Andrew Teft. Hey, Andrew, this is Bryson Brandon in the booth. You got a copy, man?
Yeah, I got you.
Man, so you come home second, fall just a little bit short. You qualified eighth. You know, what was going through your head that final 8 to 5 laps, especially the last lap coming down the backstretch? Because it looked like you had a chance to make a move, but it looks like you decided not to. I actually saw you lift there.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure one of us got it, and didn't want to get side by side and screw it up and give it away. Just wanted to help my teammate there and just kind of stay committed. And he helped push me a lot of the race also. So once he got in front of me, I just decided to stick with him. But yeah, kind of a crazy race at the start, kind of aggressive, and some wrecks at the start, right at the front of the pack, which collected a lot of guys. But kind of straightened out there toward the end and had some fun racing.
It definitely seemed to be hectic towards the start, and then it slowed down there towards the end. But how are these cars handle wise as the run went on? Because it seemed like it got a little bit difficult to control because people actually started to kind of wash up into each other there. It seems like they got kind of tight overall.
Yeah, the setup's a little bit sloppy, and I don't know. You're kind of going just as fast as you can, full throttle, basically all the way around. If the corners were any tighter, you'd probably have to lift, or if you had more power, you'd probably have to lift. It's like right on the verge the whole time. And when you're on the bottom, you can kind of hang the paint and save some tire with the extra grip there. But when you're up top, I think the right front starts to go after a while, and it's really tough on the front stretch in particular because it's just tough to see through the car in front of you to hit those apexes in the tri-oval, and even when you can hit them, it's tough to defend both of them. Normally, if you hit one right, then you're kind of out of shape for the other one. So, but yeah, just kind of on edge the whole time, and the guys that had damage or damaged spoilers, or fenders, whatever. Sometimes it's kind of hard to tell what kind of damage you have when you're driving. So, I'm sure that caught some guys by surprise once they got sailed off in the corners there.
And so how does this set the tone for the rest of the season for you? Because this is the third race, you've already got a win, and then you finished second here.
Yeah, I'm pretty comfortable myself, but yeah, it's a high pressure little season we've got going on. We've only got 5 regular season races, so we really have to perform from the get-go, and only 12 guys get in out of the 35 or so that we started with. So there's just not a lot of room for mistakes, and if you can win to get yourself in and not have to worry about points, it's pretty critical. So I think that's kind of what you saw tonight. People, trying to guarantee themselves a spot in the chase, and my thought at the start was to get out front and try to avoid the collisions, but that's kind of where a few of them happened. So yeah, I think the what's the word I'm looking for? Intensity is just going to ramp up further the next couple weeks as we close in on the end of the regular season here.
All right, man. Well, before I let you go, is there anybody you want to thank? Any sponsors you want to shout out that may have been watching the stream here tonight?
Yeah, I want to thank my teammates and say congratulations to Kirby, and I want to thank our servicemen and women. I want to thank you guys for helping out in the booth. I want to thank my friends, family, team. I think I said that already, but if you're interested in checking us out, just head on over racerselite.com. You can find all of our info there, schedule, standings, Discord invites, the whole 9 yards. You can shoot me a message on Discord, and we'll get you set up to race. And if you don't mind doing us a favor, just hit that subscribe button on our YouTube channel homepage.
All right, man. Well, I will let you go. Good job coming home second tonight, man.
Thanks, fellas.
Andrew Tapp, the second place driver. We will bring in the race winner in Kirby Wainscott. Hey, Kirby, this is Bryson Brandon in the booth. You got a copy, man?
I gotcha.
Man, so you come home with the win after you had a car on top of you. How'd the race go for you?
The first part was good. The middle part kind of sucked with the car on top of me, but then the ending was good. So all in all, pretty good race.
Hey, so what was going through your head really, when you had to use your fast repair with the car, being on top of you there. Was that nerve-wracking, or were you kind of like, okay, we're fine here?
I mean, I mean, I knew I was gonna be all right because I was able to. The main thing I was worried about was being able to get it to pit road, not having to tow. So, but getting back to pit road, and then I ended up coming out. I think I started fourth after that. So like after that, I'm like, all right, everything's fine. We'll just reset everything, reset reset the mind, and we're good to go now.
Yeah, I was surprised. I was like, oh gosh. And then I don't know if you saw Terry, but he was doing front flips literally on the track because he was hit so hard. So I was kind of like, I was surprised by that, and you were the innocent bystander in that. But how do these cars handle later on in the race, especially later on in the run? Because it seemed like they were kind of washing up, kind of just the grip went away overall, laterally and vertically.
Yeah, you definitely had to play it safe, especially if you were in the outside line. I remember right before that wreck, I think I was on the bottom behind Terry, and I decided to go to the outside, and then I normally I would run right that middle line, not really side drafting too hard, but just in that middle line just enough. But with these cars, you have to be wary of the car on the bottom drifting up a little bit. So that is where that's kind of how that wreck happened, where the car behind me kind of got a run on me because I drifted up a little too much, and then those two got into each other, and then he ended up on top, and I didn't even know what was going on behind me. I was trying to make sure I didn't wreck my car and have anybody else come up and hit me, but they started telling me it was Terry was flipping like crazy. So that was pretty crazy.
And so what was going through your head, that last lap, especially coming down the backstretch? 'Cause it looked like Teft had a run that he could have taken on you, but he decided against doing that.
Yeah, that's where it pays off having teammates for sure. I even told him that. I'm like, he 100% would have had a whole bunch of momentum coming off forward, but he said he wasn't gonna. He said he wasn't gonna take it. He was gonna make sure he pushed me out there, and yeah, coming the last few laps to go, I was kind of just the whole time wondering when I was gonna make my move, if I was gonna even try it, and then I saw Troy go to the outside. I'm like, well, I either need to take this uh, run to the outside or possibly get stuck behind Andrew. So I decided to go the outside, and as soon as I was clear, I knew I wanted to have a teammate behind me. Which technically, I guess Troy's like a little satellite teammate with us here on the Friday night series. McCullough, well, I named us the Misfit Chickens. So I knew having Andrew and Troy back there, I was in good hands.
All right, man. Well, before I let you go, is there anybody you want to thank? Any sponsors you want to shout out that may have been watching the stream here tonight?
I just want to give a shout out to my the boss man teammate Andrew. I mean, like if he wasn't behind me, I don't know what would happen, to be honest with you. But uh, and then I'm gonna give a shout out to you guys with the broadcast. You guys do a really good job, and I can't wait to go back and rewatch it and see what happens. And then yeah, that's about it.
All right, man. Well, I will let you go. Good job coming home with the win today.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Kirby Rain Scott. Wayne Scott, the race winner. Top five was Kirby Wayne Scott. Second, Andrew Teff. Third, Troy Thomas. Fourth, Frank Chavez. And fifth, Dave Nall. Not a bad race overall. What did you see from your point of view with how these cars were handling, how these guys were racing overall?
Yeah, just kind of the same thing I watched in practice, right? I was able to get in and kind of view practice a little bit, and it kind of is extended from practice, right? And we heard some of these drivers talk about it in the interviews, how loose off the corners they was and how out of the racetrack they really was. So, fantastic job for the drivers that was able to somewhat keep their cars clean and really be able to handle them the way that they was able to. It looked like to me, Bryce, that those cars was a handful, but I think next week when we roll into Talladega with the trucks, we're going to see a lot different race than we seen tonight. But I think tonight was an elbows up kind of a driver's type of deal to who could eliminate mistakes or minimize them as much as possible. And ultimately, Wayne Scott was the one to be able to do that and put himself in a position for a win. So congratulations to him, Teft, for that second place finish. And I believe it was Thomas, was it not, for our third place finisher?
It was yes, it was Troy Thomas for our third place.
Troy Thomas. So congratulations to those three. And I think going into next week, Bryce, these guys are going to be happy to be away from Atlanta and Echo Park and out of the Xfinity car into the biggest track that we will see probably on the schedule at Talladega with the trucks.
Yeah, but I'm not going to keep y'all here any longer. I will let you all go. I will be back probably Friday, but Racers Elite will be doing a lot more stuff. But I will see you all later.